We'll call to order this special edition June 21st meeting of the Pinellas County Tourist Development Council. Appreciate you all adjusting your calendars. If you want to come back to this room tomorrow and join the commission, we'll be here in budget sessions all day tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday. So if you miss being here on a Wednesday, please feel free to join us. We would love to have you. Let's get right to it. Item number 3, approval of TDC. Well, before that, I wanted to note Mr. Prather, Ms. Rodriguez, and Mayor Welch will not be joining us today. Item number 3, approval of TDC minutes. Is there discussion or is there a motion to approve?
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Item number 4, public comments. Do we have any public comments? Nobody signed up. Very good. Then we're excited this morning to have our Public Works Director for Pinellas County, Kelly Levy, with a beach nourishment update. Ms. Levy, good morning.
Okay, maybe it's just
You're
me.
live.
I'm short. Okay, I'm going to pull it all the way down here. All right. Thank you. It's good to be here. This presentation, just a little context, is really focused on our financial picture and a little bit of changes to the program related to our federal authorization. As you are aware, currently we have 3 federal authorizations. So we have Sand Key, we have Treasure Island, and we have Long Key. Over the last several years, we've been working with the Army Corps of Engineers on the reauthorization of Treasure Island and Long Key. Those ultimately were combined together into one project. So going forward, we will only have 2 authorizations. As you're aware, Sand Key has been problematic in that the Army Corps has required 100% of all easements in order to move forward with the project with the next nourishment cycle. We are just below 50% of the 461 easements that we need. So right now we are at a standstill. The next nourishment cycle was scheduled for 2024. But even if we were to receive positive news at this point in time, it would be very unlikely that it would move forward in 2024, just given the time crunch. So this is the new picture. Again, we'll have 1 federal authorization with Treasure Island and Long Key combined. Out 50 years would be 2078. The cost split would change. Generally, you're probably used to hearing that 60-40 split. Federal county, that little asterisk there is just that we do apply for state funding, which we can get up to 50% of the county's share. So sometimes it's 60-20-20. The Long Key and Treasure Island, the new reauthorization bumps that split to 50-50. So we'll be paying a little bit more. And again, we will apply for state funding for that stretch. So we wanted to take a look at how stable the fund is given some of the challenges that we're considering with Sand Key in particular, and if we were to have to fund that project without federal support. So I've pulled together 3 overviews to just kind of give a picture of what it could look like. This overview here is no federal cost share for Sand Key. We still have the federal cost share for Treasure Island and Long Key, but no state grants beyond what is currently authorized. Out to fiscal year 31, we would be in a deficit of a little over $3.5 million in that fund. I don't think this is likely, given that we have been very successful in getting state grants, but I can't promise state grants. We have to apply and we have to compete. So we have been successful in the past, and so I would expect us to continue to be successful on Treasure Island and Long Key. The challenge here is that we would apply under this scenario for Sand Key as well, but if you don't have the federal participation, you don't rank well. So funding for that portion would be a little more challenging. In looking at overview 2, so we assumed we would receive federal cost share for Treasure Island and Long Key, as well as state grants. And in this financial overview, we're still, we're still in the positive. They're out there in 31. It's just barely. So again, this is more. If the federal participation in Sand Key does not come forward, this is a more likely scenario. I'm not saying we would never get any grant funding for Sand Key, but again, we just wouldn't rank as high because of the lack of federal participation. The last overview that I brought forward was the best case scenario, and that would be the Army Corps does participate in Sand Key. We work out the issues with the easements. We receive our state grants as we have in the past, and the financial picture with that scenario is very good. Probably one of the things that has helped us the most is the incredible tourism that we've had, and the fact, if you look there under transfer, you see, back in '22, we were at about $5.5 million coming in from our portion of the tourist development tax, and looking here where we are today, we're significantly higher than that, over $3 million higher than that. So having a very robust revenue coming in from the tourist development tax has definitely helped. But going forward, depending on what happens with the federal participation, depending on what happens, whether or not we'll be successful with the state grants, really drives the picture for the fund. Some other factors that are not considered in any of these alternatives is storms. I'll give an example of Hermine. We qualified for what's called FCCE funding through the federal government. When a significant event comes through and the Army Corps deems an event to meet a certain threshold, you are eligible for additional funding to help renourish the beach. When we had Irma and Ada, even though we sustained significant erosion in several beaches, they did not elevate to that level, and so we did not receive any funding to correct that damage. So if something like that were to occur, that's something, that we would have to fund on our own. The other concern that I do have for the program is, obviously we've got Sunshine Beach on Treasure Island and Sunset Beach. They're both very critically eroded beaches. We have been on a 4-year beach renourishment cycle for those beaches. But the new authorization pushes that cycle out to 6 years, which could be challenging for those 2 beaches. We may have to have some interim cycles. So really that is it. It's a very short presentation. So again, financial overview 1, again, assumes that we don't get state participation in our program, and the Army Corps does not move forward. Again, I don't think this is likely because we have historically been successful, at least with some state funding, especially for Treasure Island and Long Key, and they are both part of the federal program. Overview 2 assumes exactly that we do receive that state funding for Treasure Island, Long Key, Upham. We're balanced, but it's right there at the edge. And then overview 3 is where we have been for many, many years, full federal participation, 50% state funding, and we're looking good. So that is all I had. I just wanted to be here to answer questions. I wish I had more news on what the easement question is. We're going back to both headquarters and Jacksonville, asking for a response. It's been too long, and we need to know one way or the other as to how what their final response is on that policy. So.
I know, just to throw one more calculation at you, we had one of the suggestions that we had made to the Army Corps was if we paid for the percentage that wasn't, if we didn't get the easement part, could we proceed with, if we funded the non-private You know what I'm getting at? The one, where areas where they didn't provide the easements, we pay for that, and then the Army Corps pays for so it wasn't part of the funding. I don't know how much significant financial part that would be in your equation here, but did we calculate that at all?
We did. Honestly, it's about 2% of the total cost.
Okay.
the
I knew it
project.
was minimal, I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, we would still need some sort of easement, though, because we would be doing work on private property in some areas, and whether or not we could obtain those would be,
Okay. Mayor Hibbert, did you have something?
Yes, just two things. Kelly, first of all, as elected officials, when I was up in DC, I talked to our 2 senators and 2 congressmen asking about the Corps. But what else can we be doing to help you hopefully push the Corps in the right direction?
I wish I knew. Right now, headquarters is saying it's Jacksonville can respond, and Jacksonville saying headquarters needs to respond. So it's
One of
almost like who's on first.
Okay.
So we have been working with Congressman Chris' office. The congressman has been very active in this issue, and they have reached out again, still have not received a response. So I am working on an email to go up to Assistant ASA Connor at Army Corps to just kind of reiterate the meeting that we had in January, where we laid out all the issues. It was a very positive meeting, really felt like there was a path forward, but we seem to have stalled, and just ask for his assistance in, bringing this across the finish line. We need an answer, obviously, we believe strongly that we have demonstrated, number one, part of the reason why they wanted easements all the way up to the seawall is they're saying that the Army Corps participated in nourishment events previously, and so federal dollars were used there. We have demonstrated that is not the case. As a matter of fact, we have the paperwork, and we've shown that the local sponsor paid for that sand. So that issue should be resolved. Then the issue is with, if you don't obtain the easement up there by the seawall landward of the ECL, even if it's in a dune, we won't put sand on the other side of the ECL. That's kind of we don't even understand why that would be the case. If you don't need to do work there, why would not having that easement be a problem? We don't really understand that. And then, the other part is, there are the newer language. Our agreement is really old. That's the other part. So our agreement, our federal authorization agreement predated all of this. So it's not even in our agreement. So it's how are you even bringing that into the conversation? And then, finally, if we need to have that in there in some way, shape, or form, the more modern language that's in the agreement say that the local sponsor can provide easements incrementally as they're needed for construction. And that is a much better picture for us. So I'm just basically drafting an email to ASA Connor, just kind of reiterating those points and asking for his assistance in moving that forward. If, I think we're going to probably need all our support from the community and all the cities involved to, help get this across the finish line. I'm not sure why we can't get an answer.
My second question is what are the logistical hurdles to potentially breaking up Sand Key into smaller bites? Is that viable, or the agreements are so old that that's not allowable?
It's just if we were to break up the project, and we even had talked about that because we have all the easements in Clearwater and we have all the easements in Bel Air Beach, but basically what would happen is the project wouldn't perform as well. The sand would move much quicker. We wouldn't get that long-lasting benefit to the whole project. So That's really the challenge, is that so it would be a lot of money, and it probably wouldn't last very long.
Yes, sir, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me, Kelly, has Congressman Bilirakis engaged at all on this?
I believe he has sent a letter on our behalf. I believe all of our congressional delegation has sent letters on our behalf to the Army Corps, yes.
Thank you.
Mayor Bujalski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hi, Kelly.
Hi.
Just a couple of questions. So the last couple of times we've had presentations from you, the beaches you're looking at are, well, at least what I always see is kind of mid to South County. What about North County? And I'm not trying to separate the county, I just know that it never seems to get mentioned in any of those areas.
Yeah, the Honeymoon Island is not a federally authorized project.
No, but Dunedin Causeway would be, it's a county-owned, and so is Fred Howard Park.
Again, so the causeway is not really considered a beach.
I
as
get
far
that.
as-
I understand
yeah,
it's in
yeah.
your state right away, but we have,
I'm just saying, it wouldn't qualify
why
for
wouldn't it though?
funding.
Why wouldn't it?
Well,
Is it
Michael,
because of where, is it because where it's located? Because I got to tell you, and I'm going to look at you, Michael, we have 10,000 trips on average per day over the causeway. We only have 1.5 million people going into Honeymoon Island. They're going to the causeway. It's being used as a park, and it needs to be treated that way. So, and it's desperate in need of
well, we're
renourishment.
actually developing something separate from that. We're working on a causeway management plan, because it's really more than just, it's really more than just
No, I get that.
uses. It's the driving out there, it's the events, it's the other things that are, I mean, frankly, it's costing us around $200,000 a year to maintain that causeway. It's getting very expensive, and it's only getting more expensive. So we have to look at that causeway a little differently, and figure out how to better manage the activities that are going on out there that are causing a lot of the erosional issues that we're having.
Well, I get that, but I mean, if you look at, I'm sure you've seen all the overhead pictures over time. You can clearly see the beach is, denigrating, and it needs attention. I can't speak to Fred Howard Park. I just know the county owns it, so.
Yeah, it's not an eroding beach, so, again, it's kind of in the same boat as like North Clearwater Beach and Madeira. There are creating areas, there are stable areas, and then there are areas we can't nourish because of environmental, like Reddington Beach, the south end of Reddington Beach, we can't nourish there because there's a significant amount of hard bottom right off the shore.
So, Michael, why can't the Dunedin Causeway be included in renourishment?
We have to, I've never looked at the specific issue as to that causeway. Typically, we'd have to look at the statute and see whether or not it meets the definition of beach as defined.
Make sure you drive out there. When you look at that definition, just make sure somebody puts eyes on it.
I will be happy to do so.
It is
and
being used
we
as a
can
beach
look
every
into
day,
it.
all day.
Okay.
So, I mean, it needs attention, and I only bring this up, not necessarily because it's in my city, but yes. But when we wanted these presentations to determine how much money do we need, right? And do we need to raise or lower, or whatever, not lower, but raise the money. So I bring that up. So that was one question. If you could possibly.
Certainly, we'll look into it.
Take a look at that, thank you. And then the other question I had, and I don't know if this is the evil question, but, and again, it might be a statute issue. I know we have dredging issues. Does this money go for dredging at all?
Only if it's associated with a beach project. So like the last time we put sand on Dunedin Causeway, it was associated with the dredging of Hurricane Pass. And we do monitor the pass, I think biannually, we look at it, makes, to see if it's migrated, we need to relocate the navigational markers, or if we actually need to dredge. And right now, it's in pretty good condition, so.
Yeah, and I was referring to, like I think about Sand Key, the Sand Key, Hurricane Pass, Johns Pass, all of them.
Yeah,
I'm
it's-
just thinking, so I don't know if that's allowable.
Well, if I may, currently, your plan does not provide for anything of that nature. the
But
tourist
state,
development plan.
is it allowable by the state?
There's an argument that under the state statute, if that plan was amended, that we could look into it, but it still needs to tie into the beach nourishment, like that sand being used somewhere else.
So I don't know what the schedule for all of those other things are for dredging. Is that something you all do, or?
The other passes, they're associated with the federal projects, so most of them are federal channels. And the only one that's not is Hurricane. That one is ours, but the rest are Blind Pass, Pass-a-Grille Pass, Johns Pass. Those are all federal channels, and they dredge those as part of the nourishment. We have a nourishment for Treasure Island, Upham, and Long Key, Pass-a-Grille, coming in early 2023. And all those passes down in the south end will be dredged, and that material will be placed on the beaches.
So that's part of what we do with the renourishment.
Those, we have designated borrow areas within the channels, as well as ebb shoals outside of the channel that accumulate. And those are dredged out, and that material is a sand source. Those are.
So they are, I just want to be very clear that I'm understanding. It's not the feds do it when they want. It is a part of our renourishment that it occurs.
Correct.
Okay. And then one of the questions I know we had before, Steve, was, I know we rely a lot on the timing of when we do these things based on when we get grant funding, but have you looked at how often we should be doing it? Like, what is the schedule we should be, or is it just based on when we can get our hands on funding? I'm not exactly sure how it all works.
It's really based on the Army Corps' evaluation. Sand Key largely has performed well over a 6-year period. The new reauthorization for Treasure Island and Long Key has a different profile. They're considering a very large dune system, and then, the beach berm in front of that. So because they're considering a different design template, they extended the nourishment cycle out from 4 to 6 because they believe it should perform better. We are concerned, just if you've been out to those areas recently and you see the dune walkovers hanging and you see the scarps, it's pretty bad out there right now. And so we are a little concerned that 6 years is too long. We'll have to see how the first project under the new reauthorization with the new design template mitigates some of that.
So does your financial, the different options the different ways of looking at it include what those?
It includes
Okay.
nourishment on a six-year cycle. So
Okay.
if something occurred in between there that didn't qualify for federal funding and we needed to do it ourselves, it's not shown in that picture. No.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Pletcher.
First off, I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing for our county when it comes to that. Coming from what Mayor Hibbard mentioned about blocking off, we had a project on St. Pete Beach that they would not sign the perpetual easement. And so they stopped the project, and then they started the project right after it. Well, it was a minor inconvenience to them because, the attrition filled it up, and it was like they never had to do that. And so one of the things that I think is most frustrating is the fact that we're having to deal with this Army Corps' new, their position statement on that. And I don't know if there was a legal way we could create that easement that they require for beach renourishment, but it's specific to that, and it's not as broad-based as the perpetual easement that they're wanting 100% participation in order to move forward. Also, the Army Corps, it just seems like, before we used to understand where the Army Corps protected waterways were, because, I mean, this is all affecting tidal flow and, marine life and, water quality, the whole bit. And so I applaud you, what you're doing and working with Linda Cheney and being able to help with the Grand Canal, because, the beach renourishment in Paso Grove, for instance, we have a lot of dropped, people can't even go to the beach because the crossovers, there's such a big drop. I mean, we're having to do makeshift rebuilds just to facilitate that. And so when I think of us losing federal funding because the Army Corps of Engineers position, then maybe we need to revisit and, play a little bit stronger with the agreement that they're having signed. And maybe if that's something that, we could help, that Michael could help you on, because I think you're doing an amazing job. And it's a daunting task. And, when you talked about the dredging project, they typically don't like to do the dredging for the beach renourishment because they don't like the mixture of the sand, that they want a certain quality of sand for that. And so we've had struggles before trying to dredge the canal for the beach renourishment. Now all of a sudden they said it's okay, So there's so many moving parts, there's so many, and you're working well with that. And I do think that there's some things that maybe we could do to help support you in that effort, because obviously everybody comes here for the beaches.
Yeah.
So-
We did work very, very hard to modify the easement language. If you look at the template the Army Corps gave us versus what we got changed, what we could get changed, it's essentially a one-page document if you squish the signatures on the one page, the signatures on page 2. But there were 2 points that were just non-negotiable, and that was the easement necessary for the construction of the beach and the perpetual public access. We tried to negotiate that to, through the duration of the authorization. So if the authorization for, Sand Key was not reauthorized in another, in 2045, then the easement would go away. They wouldn't do it. It was just, we got it as far as we absolutely could, and Michael was part of that, helping us negotiate that language. We did everything we could. It is, I think it's about as far as the Army Corps is willing to adjust it any further. But, I mean, I'm happy to, share, once I send out my communication to the Army Corps, I'm happy to share it with Steve, and he can share it with you all so that you know that communication has gone out. And if you want to follow up with the Army Corps as kind of a reinforcement, it might be helpful. But it just, right now, we just need an answer one way or the other so we know where we're going. Because right now, if they were to say, we need 100% of the easements, our policy is, that's what it is, and then we have to plan. And we have to determine whether or not we are moving forward with a project or we're not. Because if we are, then we have to design it. We have to get permission from the Army Corps to use their template. We have to get permission from them to do it in the first place. I don't think they would argue it, but we still have to go through that process. We have to bring on a design firm. We have to design it. We have to put it out to bid. This is not a short process, and we're already almost all the way through FY22. So, it isn't going to take too many more storms to where we're really going to start to see damage beyond what we have. And that was, part of the conversation that we had was we have had such a long and wonderful, frankly, relationship with the Army Corps of Engineers. Couldn't ask for a better partner. My concern is that, every storm that hits that takes a little bit more of that sand away, and every year that we miss the cycle, that investment is getting eroded away, and not just the sand, but the actual investment. If we end up back where we were during Hurricane Elena, to put that back, you're looking at probably well over $100 million. So, we don't want to lose the investment that both the local sponsors and the Army Corps have brought forward. It's I mean, yeah, we have, significant erosion out there, but we have areas that are doing quite well and performing quite well, and we don't want them to, erode back to where they were in the 80s.
Mr. Henderson?
Thank you. Thank you for putting this together, Kelly. I appreciate it. It's very enlightening. To touch on a few points that people have asked about, to be clear, are nourishment dollars used for Dunedin Causeway? Or is that coming out of a different fund for the Causeway?
It's coming out of the Transportation Trust.
And we're not sure that we can use nourishment dollars now. You're going to look into that based on these issues, okay? And if we can do that for Dunedin Causeway, how much is involved in, like the outer beaches where you've got to do a 2-year process to put it all together?
It would be, it would, I'm not sure what kind of permitting we'd have to go through with the state on that and the Army Corps on that. But again, I think the other part that we really need to look at with the Causeway is, not just the use, but we have to better understand, some of the environmental damages that are going on out there. And what I mean by that is like the waves and stuff that are eating away at the shoreline. So we may have to consider things like wave attenuation devices in certain areas, more shoreline protection in certain areas. So it isn't just sand. If we put sand out there tomorrow, it's just gonna wash away. So we need to look at the Causeway in a little bit more holistic way, is actually look at the entirety of the problem, the uses, the environmental conditions, and figure out the best path forward. So it probably wouldn't just be sand. It would probably need to include some other improvements to make sure that whatever investment we might put on the sand side actually stays in place.
I know when we had some discussions, you mentioned there's a lot of abuse of that area because of the traffic, and some will dig fire pits and others will spin donuts, and that's got to be repaired and so forth.
Jeep clubs,
I'm sorry?
Jeep clubs, Wednesday night Jeep clubs. I'm not kidding.
So the
They're
nicer you
crazy.
make it, the more you attract more people that will.
Well, we're looking at all of those activities and how to better mitigate them. We are working with the city staff on a permitting process, and working with the sheriff so that we can, hold some of those groups that are holding activities accountable and make sure that, any damages is mitigated by them, paid for by them. Trash, debris is also a problem.
Jet ski invasion.
Yeah, there's a lot, as the mayor has, there's a lot going on out there. It's just gotten, worse, because, during the pandemic, everybody wanted to be outside, and this is one of the very few areas in Pinellas County you can actually go and not have to pay to park. So,
You mentioned going from 4 to 6 years on the up in Treasure Island. They're making improvements. In your opinion, is that going to stretch to 6 years? Do you think it's really going to work, or we hope so?
well, the proposal is I think it's a 10-foot high dune, and 10-foot high and 20-foot wide. It based on the Army Corps' model, it should, again, you'll have erosion of the berm and you'll have erosion into the dune, but it protects what's behind it. And that's really, while the beach is something that, we all value, from the recreational perspective and the tourism perspective, this is called a shore protection project for a reason. The beach berm and the dune, from an Army Corps perspective, is protecting what's on the other side, so.
With regard to the Corps, I think it involves some public use code that if any federal dollars are spent on something, it's got to be for the entire public, so they have to have access to wherever that is. That's why they need the easements. And it seems that that's a little unrealistic since people own that property, but basically they're sticking by that, and you're asking for an answer. And if you ask too hard for an answer, then the answer is going to be no. And if you take too long to wait for an answer, it might be yes, but then we're way behind the curve. And as you said, the longer we wait to do what we know we need to do, the more we're losing the prior investment. So the more it costs to get it back to where it needs to be. So it's a double-edged sword there. Yeah. If we take a project on our own, is it any quicker than going, in other words, if, in the case of Sankey, if the Corps doesn't provide funding or allow for federal funding, and we don't get anything from the state, we're doing it all on our own. Is the process the same?
No, it'll take longer, because again, they don't, they just need to update their documents. I mean, they've got an established, template, they've got permits, they've got all that in place. So we would have to, work through the process, requesting that they allow us to basically do the project under all of those, using their template and the approved borrow areas and all of that. So we would also have to get some of our own permits. So, and currently, we don't have any of that. The permitting is going to be the longest
I'm
thing.
sorry, berm?
Permitting? Permitting will be the longest thing. Designing it, I mean, we have a template for Sankey. It's kind of like Grand Canal. When we designed that particular project, we proposed to place the sand within the Pass-A-Grille nourishment template so that there was a beneficial reuse of that material for the beach. But we still had to get authorization from the Corps, and we still don't have it. We have our state permits, but we don't have that one, and we're going almost on 2 years.
So in that area, a lot of the damage you're talking about was caused by a prior storm, but it wasn't enough damage at that time to get approval to move the schedule up, correct?
Correct, yeah.
And now we're on schedule, but then the Corps says the East Coast doesn't allow nourishment during turtle season, which is the spring, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So that's not only being pushed back, but it's being pushed back to the end of '23. The latter half of '23, is that correct?
Pass-A-Grille, and I think it got moved to, putting it out to bid in the spring and going in the summer. But yeah, it was supposed to be in November, and yeah, it's gotten pushed because of the East Coast work that needs done.
Well, we're fighting all these different challenges. So, in short, I think we have to assume the Corps is not going to budge on the easement. That's my opinion, but you're closer to it. What would you see the probability of the Corps going our way?
I think it's about 50-50 right now.
All right, we'll
guess,
stick with 50-50, we'll hope. And you lined up up through 31, so we can assume that if everything was just like that, and we had another 6-year cycle, we'd definitely be in the red for the next 6 years, the rate we're going.
If we didn't get any additional funding from the state, yeah.
Right.
If we had to, again, if I would assume that, if we had to move forward here in probably the 25, 26 timeframe and do our own nourishment, then the next one, we would be on our own as well. I mean, I don't see the easement issue.
Right, so we're going to
changing.
go further in the hole if we don't have more funding to back it up. And you've never had to deal with this, I don't think, but do you think the state, or have you seen other areas that didn't get federal funding get some state help?
In the past, we had some projects that we did that were not federally authorized. We did some work at Fort DeSoto, and some other projects, and it was a matter of we apply. You can keep applying. So you do the project, and maybe you don't get it. You don't get the money that time. You can apply the next year and the next year and the next year. You can keep applying for, I can't remember exactly how many years after a project, but you can continue to
Correct.
apply. Again, part of the reason why we've been so successful is because our projects are federally authorized, and you get extra points when you apply for state grants. I'm just concerned. I know for sure there's no way we would get 50%. So if we had to pay if the project was $45 million, and the state budget's 80, we're not getting half of that. We've seen projects get up to 10 million in state funding, but usually, again, those are federally authorized. So it's really dependent a lot on who's applying and how they're ranked. But, you know, our main concern is if we don't have federal participation, that we'll be at the bottom of the list.
Right. So I'm going to assume we're not going to get that either. Does anybody else have any more questions before I propose something?
I did, sorry. I kind of wanted to just talk amongst ourselves because, I mean, the purpose we wanted this was to determine whether we're putting enough, right? And I'm assuming that, don't go anywhere. I mean, I don't know what the safest thing to do, and I'm guessing that maybe it might be more up to the county to determine, but, I mean, would you say the middle of the road money scenario that you showed us, which was at 2031, we'd have a plus 176,000, would you say that's the realistic one, or do you think the best case is realistic because of grant money?
I think the scenario 2 is the more realistic one. I don't see why we wouldn't successfully get the state funding for Treasure Island and Long Key. It is federally authorized. The Army Corps is participating. It should rank well. I feel that's more realistic, and we will apply for Sand Key either way.
Right.
We're concerned about that one, even if not ranking well, or, maybe we get a small amount, but not, what we would really need. And Jim, is here with regard to, I spoke with him about the projections on the revenue. And, it's obviously, we've had some record years.
Sure.
But those outer years do not assume that record growth. It's a 3%, so it's pretty conservative.
So the middle of the road with plus 176,000 essentially at 2031 is the one, at this point, you would recommend moving forward with?
I feel that's really more likely where we'll be, unless
And
I'm
that
on
gives
the
us-
50% side
yeah.
of the Army Corps coming, changing their mind, and then we're.
But that gives us nothing extras, essentially.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my question.
Further questions?
One more.
All right, Mr. Henderson.
So with that, and as you mentioned, that's assuming no storm damage.
It assumes no storm damage that we would have to take on ourselves. It's dependent on the Army Corps' evaluation of a storm. If they deem it significant enough, it'll be federally authorized whether or not, we could get federal dollars to do that work. But if they don't, like with Irma and Eta, and we wanted to do the repairs, then we would be funding that. Yeah, does not include any amount for addressing those types of things.
In your assessment of our history, has there ever been a 10-year period where we didn't have a significant amount of additional erosion due to a storm?
No, we always
we're gonna
have
have
a lot
storms.
of.
So to that number 2 scenario, we may need to add or subtract a little more dollars because we're going to have a storm. I mean, nobody wants them, but it's a reality. We're going to have some at some point, and it's going to cause some damage, and it's going to increase the amount of resources that are needed to maintain. So,
And we do have an interlocal agreement with Treasure Island for interim nourishments because of how eroded their beaches are. So that's something, it is paid for out of the tourist development tax. So if that needs to occur, it can.
Anything else? Mr. Henderson.
all right. I proposed a motion a couple months ago to move our nourishment fund from 0.5% to 1 full percent, so that we would mitigate all these potential scenarios, and have the funds we need when we need them, and not be struggling to look for them in the case of an emergency. So I would like to propose that motion again. I know that it didn't carry, and I believe because some of you thought we should look at the scenario and see maybe there's more that needs to be done. I think looking at this, if we did the 1%, I think we'd be covered and then some, and hope that we don't have any catastrophic storms, because we'll have a whole other problem there anyway. But allow for some other damages, assume that the Corps is not going to help us with Sand Key, and hopefully we'll get some state funding, but it's not going to be nearly enough to make up for it. So I think the 1% clearly makes sense. And if we have a fund that, if we've got a great record and the fund builds to a point where it's just ridiculous keeping that much in there, then somebody makes a motion, we divert some of that out of there and put it to another use. But that way it gives us that placeholder for those dollars and keeps us in a safer position to protect our number one resource, which is our beaches here. So I would propose that we, again, make a motion that we increase, per Michael's guidance, the best way to do that, from 0.5% to 1 full percent for beach nourishment.
It's 0.5% now. So is that what we're saying?
It's 0.5% right now is what we've traditionally done. And it's worked. And last fall, after listening to her and going through it, it looked like, well, we're in good shape with scenario one. We've got a good surplus. And our scenario three, whichever one gave us the 36 million or whatever at the end. But being realist now with the Corps and our biggest project being Sand Key and 45 million, and if they're not going to participate, then those funds aren't going to be there eventually. We're going to be looking for them somewhere else down the road, and hopefully they'll be there to find if we don't do something now.
I'll second the motion for further discussion.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Williams, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Williams.
So just a question, the additional 0.5%, what does that translate to in dollars?
Pretty much doubles it, so Jim can tell you a little over 8 million.
For FY '23, the forecast, each percent is worth about $15 million, so it would increase it by $7.5 million.
Or 70 million over 10 years, if we use Washington speak. Mayor Hibberd.
Mr. Henderson, let me just understand a little bit better. Do you want then this money to be in a lockbox?
I would want it to be just as it is now, put over in that budget to be used at a future date. And if we see that that's accumulating to a point of 70 or 80 million, which is more than we need to have in reserve, then we take and we move a certain amount of that with guidance from staff on what's the safe level to have as a reserve, and we move it back out of it if that's the case.
Is there ever a level that we've gotten to, and I'm sure the answer is no, but that the Fed and the state says they're so well-funded, we don't need to participate?
That might be a better question for Kelly. I've
It
not
certainly
heard of
would
that.
be in the legislative discussion. It's not in a vacuum, they would see it. So yes and no. I don't know that it's happened in history, but yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been a condition where we've like applied multiple times. We didn't get it the first time, but if you recall, like back, especially during the recession and, you know, even after that, I think the state budgeted like 30 million for beach nourishment statewide. I think now they're like up to 80. So it's pretty well-funded right now. And this nourishment that we're doing on Treasure Island and Long Key next year is our 20%, our 40% is split with them, so they are paying half.
But has a local jurisdiction ever been so well-funded that they've decided to move the money elsewhere to some place that is not as well-funded?
That I'm not sure.
Further questions? Commissioner.
Thank you. Great point. What I love about what you're suggesting is supporting the infrastructure of tourism and using tourist dollars to do it. And one of the things that I see with the Army Corps as they've transitioned, I know they're trying to do a project now down in Passick Row where they're putting in this dune system that's going to limit crossovers, and it's going to be fairly obtrusive, dune system, 20 feet wide, 10 feet, whatever. And then, And that's to eliminate the need for beach renourishment down the road. I don't know if you're
It's to lengthen the cycle.
lengthen the cycle. And so, you know, between the easement discussion and some of these other experiments that they're having, you know, to lengthen the cycle of beach renourishment, having some funds set aside for those interim fill projects, I think is important. Because we are kind of depending on the Army Corps to maintain our beaches. And so I like the idea of, you know, maybe incorporating much. I don't know, doubling it is necessary, because I do agree with you. But I do like the idea of us being able to have the funding to not be so much in control of whatever the Army Corps' direction is moving forward, because, you know, it doesn't seem like the messaging that they're sending is they're trying to get out of spending that much money in beach renourishment in the future. So I don't know if it's doubling it or if it's just, you know, doing something that shows that we can sustain ourselves through their transition of what their goals are. That makes
Mayor
sense.
Brzezowski?
I was just going to ask, Jim, I don't know if you can figure that out, and I'll be happy to wait and let other people ask questions. I'd like to understand what that 2031 number would look like if we did, instead of a half, I'm going to try to split the baby with the bathwater here and do like a 0.25% increase. Could you, I mean, right now in the some grant scenario, I'm calling it, that Kelly, you guys brought forward, we have 176,000 to the positive, which is nothing, essentially, in 2031. Can you figure out what it would be? I haven't had enough coffee this morning to do that.
Just add 35 million to it.
Is that what it is?
It'd be closer to 60 million, 9 years at $7 million.
So at 2031, we would have 60 million, is that what you're saying? Somebody smarter than me right now.
I'm not
Again, I
using
haven't
my
had
calculator,
coffee. Too much of my
but
coffee yet.
7 million times 9 years is 63 million
Gotcha.
that we weren't counting on.
That's assuming nothing changes in the economy and
Oh, yeah,
Right.
all
absolutely.
sorts of other variables.
Yeah, it's
Well, that's
assuming
at
a lot of
current day
different
with no
things.
3% growth year over year.
It's
and-
8 years. We'll do this until 23.
But it would be 120 if that's what you're saying. It'd be 125 or whatever if it were a full 0.5% that was added.
Through,
My apologies, the 35 was for a 4% increase.
That's what I was looking for.
doing just quick math, right now, we would be doing, through FY30, we would have we would be sending about $64 million to the capital fund for beach nourishment. If we increased it to 75% of a percent, we would be sending 96 million. So it's about $32 million more
What you said.
that we would have sent across with 3% growth and, you know, all the
Gotcha.
other assumptions. But that's just doing quick figures based on what we would budget each of those years if the assumptions play out
Right.
as we have them listed. So it's be roughly another $32 million.
I mean, I kind of think I'm a little bit more comfortable with that, given the conversation of how much money we let sit there. Plus, but we are planning for, like what you discussed, Melinda, you know, the interims if we need it. And if we are adding something like the Causeway or Fred Howard or whatever else comes along, if we have a disaster, at least it's a cushion of something, but it's not extreme. That's just the way I feel about it.
Mr. Williams, did you have something? Did you raise your hand? All right. Mayor Hibbard?
Mr. Zaz, whatever we do here today, it's still going to go to the BOCC for approval, correct? Okay. Mr. Henderson, I have mixed feelings. I really do. I understand the importance of beach renourishment. I appreciate the chair's mathematics. I think forecasting anything 9 years from now is a fool's errand for the most part. But I also want to take, you know, this decision in the context of all of the bed tax dollars. And I guess, Mr. Hayes, I'd ask, you know, I hate making one-off decisions we have limited resources. So whatever we do here, if we're putting it in a lockbox, I prefer putting them in overall reserves and moving those reserves around to the buckets that we need them in, depending on how things transpire. Plus, I'm a little concerned about the state legislature seeing that we're flush with beach renourishment and maybe not participating. But did you know this was coming? And if so, do you have any thoughts on, is this what the staff would recommend at this time? To put you right in the middle of it?
In our presentation on strategic plan that was held last month, or the month before that, I think maybe it was last month.
Last month.
And one of the things that we had on there talked about fighting for the beach, because we know that, you know, it is still the main driver of business, of people coming here to our different communities throughout the county. And, you know, I think that we need to be prepared to take care of those beaches, because if we lose it, then we're losing those revenues, which then support other things. And I think that's the key element there. I think the other aspect to this is the unknown with the Corps. You know, the fact is that we don't know the answer. And the longer we have to wait, I mean, you heard what Kelly said, we've got all these other things we're going to have to do. If we don't set aside the money and be prepared for that, then we're really going to be behind the eight ball. So I think in the realm of things, the beach is critically important.
It's the golden goose. We all agree.
Yeah. And so, you know, I think we have to have it within that context. Now, whether it's sitting there in a lockbox or it's sitting there as designated, you know, and again, I'd have to lean toward OMB or Michael from that perspective. But I think it's good to have those dollars there identified, the just in case. And the other aspect, you know, and, you know, knock on wood, but, you know, we don't have a storm. And that's going to make it even, you know, even worse. So I think that's how I look at it.
I'm done.
Mr. Kimball.
I know I could be criticized because I have a lot of beach and what I'm going to say, but we've always had the feeling we want to keep increasing our reserves to a certain point to cover storms, to cover the rebounding of our business. And I think right now that in the month of June going forward, tourism is readjusting a little bit back to reality than the good year and a half we've had. And so I'm a little more cautious. Occupancies are going down some, rates are still holding fairly well, but they're not quite where they were, but I think we're gonna be fine. But I have a problem just moving this over to one total 1%. I think we need to be looking at it. We have a lot more questions. We know where the reserves are. I think I'd rather see more money in the reserve. And if we do something, I think we should put a time limit or of 5 years or 2 years or whatever it is, or we fund it for the next 2 years and then look at it again with the questions for the Corps of Engineer, the state and everything. I agree with the mayor, and that we could be sitting looking at too much money here and not getting what we want. So I just think we ought to be looking at a time period or an amount or something that we ask Michael to review to say, let's adjust this to meeting, or let's look at this meeting again in 2 years or whatever it is. I am 100% for beach restoration for the whole county. And I think that we also need to maybe be looking a little bit at some of those areas that aren't covered by the federal funds, that the passes and all that we have are major tourism impacts for the recreation around it and everything, that maybe we should be looking at some of that money or part of that money being used for a matching fund with the cities, or something that we could do in order to protect some of those areas too. And I think Kelly and the county does a great job. And I think they got a lot of things going on right now that they know more than we do. on how hard it is to do certain things and all. But I think if we had some funds for that, we could address it. But I think we need to still have a time period on this if we're gonna do anything. And I'm not sure if it has to be a half a cent or what. I would not be for just moving it to one, recommend the Board of County Commission moving it to 1% today. Thank you.
Commissioner?
And in following up with that, I think that, we look at this as a broader context. We're looking at the infrastructure, the physical infrastructure of our tourism, and how much money of the bed tax dollars should be set aside, whether it be for beach renourishment. Yeah, I mean, I even think of Red Tide comes to mind, things that truly impact. If we're looking at ecotourism, we're looking at arts. I mean, we support those things through our capital projects, but at some point, allocating funds and, I'm coming from a, personal space as far as within my city, we've got some really great projects that could be coming forward to, retain our vacation destination designation at a large level. And the residents, and there's probably right now, as of this morning, over 250 negative comments with videos and the whole bit on, why should we allow for those additional units? Why should we allow for that increased development? Because we get nothing from the tourist development, the bed tax dollars. We don't get, our sales tax revenue is based on residents, not the sales tax revenue that our tourism does. And at some point, that has to be recognized. And so if we're looking at the infrastructure, we're looking at the costs associated with the hosting cities, we're looking at beach renourishment, protecting our ecotourism through our waterways and all the elements that we have that goes into it. I would like to see some priority put back there, because if we're going to create that sustainable vacation destination for Pinellas County, we can throw a lot of advertising there. If they come here, they don't have a great experience because of us not looking at a bigger, broader picture when it comes to what tourism means for Pinellas County, then I think that would be a disservice for 20 years from now. So somewhere along the line, I see, let's not put it in a lockbox, but let's recognize at some point, because if we're looking 20 years from now, we need to plan today for that. Or otherwise, we're going to be narrowing down our marketing efforts of what, a vacation looks like if you come to Pinellas County. And I'll tell you right now, we've got some really great projects that could be coming on board, and they're going to be met with litigation and opposition for the next 10 years. And it's going to be, again, another stalemate like we've had in the past. And it's all because of the inequities that the residents are saying, we're fine not having tourists. That's why when we do those surveys, I'm like, where'd you interview those folks at? Because that's not our world at all over on the beaches. And I know that I represent that sentiment from a lot of the Barrier Island communities when it comes to that delicate balance between residential and our commercial and our industry. I feel like we need to protect it, today, and we need to protect it 20 years from now. What does that look like? And it's having a good product, redeveloped product, not, Miami by any stretch, but a good product for visitors to come and enjoy their trip. So that's my thing. I like the idea. I like the concept of the infrastructure and setting aside funds for that.
It's always good to remind folks that tourists pay a third of our penny for Pinellas, which pays for infrastructure. Mr. Henderson, I had you next on my list. Did you have something now? No? Yes?
No, I do. Does somebody else have something? Mm-hmm. Okay, I'll wait.
Mayor Budowski.
So I two things I wanted to tack on to Melinda's comments. I hear a lot about, our city, our county is overdeveloped, too much traffic, tired of the focus on tourism. We spend all this money attracting tourists here, but we don't support the infrastructure, yada, yada, yada. I hear it every day, either the top issue or top 3 on every citizen survey. So I agree with you. When we did the stadium, that happened to be in our city, it was great to be able to say that the majority of, or a good portion, at least the county's portion, was coming from bed tax. People really appreciated that. So I get exactly what you're saying. Steve, you you mentioned a couple meetings ago that, and we all agreed that we wanted to have the infrastructure conversation. When do you think that might happen?
So this goes back to the capital guidelines.
Yeah, yeah.
And looking at probably August for that, and in.
Just having the open dialogue.
Exactly.
Right, because that might, I'm just looking at you, Phil, in order to get the whole picture, right, that might, if 0.5%, 1/4%, lockbox, not lockbox, whatever, but understanding what other things that people are interested in. And again, not talking about sewer pipes here, things that support tourism. It might be better for all of us to have that broader picture. I just throw that out there for conversation point. But I do think we have to address funding for, I do think we need to have a cushion, so I agree with you. I don't know how much it should be, and I don't know how it should be put aside, but I do think looking at that bigger picture and then maybe bringing it forward as a cohesive sort of plan might better serve us.
Ms. Moore, did you have something?
Yes, thank you, Commissioner. All good comments. I just, in some ways, want to bring this back that we've gotten a bit beyond nourishment. And sometimes when we get kind of the shotgun approach, because we all have these really important needs. But I think that if we don't move this forward as a recommendation to the BOC, to include in the budget for their review and edification, and then, you know, we're down the road for years to come in terms of having that set aside and having it potentially budgeted. So again, it's my recommendation that we move forward with the motion that was on the floor. I think, in my opinion, splitting the difference and doing it at a fixed 3/4 versus the 1/2 or the 1 as a recommendation to the BOC, and then they can chew on it and figure out how best to make it work from a legal standpoint. Also, one other comment, and I think, Mary, you touched on it, and Commissioner as well, that keeping in mind when you do a percentage, we can look at how robust the tourist dollars are today, but that changes with all of the things that happen, the complexities over the years. And so by using a percentage, we can do projections, but it's certainly, we're not committing funds that could in the future sometimes be less or lower or, you know, drastically affected by outside influences. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of months ago, we all agreed we needed to learn more about where we were at, what challenges we have. I think Kelly did a great job explaining that to us. I think her scenarios clearly show we're going to know more next year than we know right now. I do think that fund needs some help right now while the tourist dollars are here and still coming in. I think they are going to downsize slightly, as Mr. Kimball said. So I believe that some percent does need to go up, probably the full percent, and it is on a timeline because every year we look at the budget. So next year, the same time, we could be having the same conversation. By then, we know what the Army Corps is doing, and we can correct it one way or the other at that time. So I don't think waiting too long, because it does need to go to the county commissioners for a vote. We do need to make a decision fairly soon. I agree with Doreen on that. Thank you.
Further comments before Mr. Anderson closes? Mr. Kimball?
Could Michael explain to us how we do it now to set it aside? And then if we did try and make a motion on this, how it does get done in the different ways it can be?
Sure. You have a couple of options. Currently, you have half of 1% dedicated by an ordinance that sets forth that amount annually. You could either amend that ordinance to dedicate moving forward 0.75% or a full percent. Alternatively, you could, as a matter of a budgeting function, leave the ordinance intact, the 0.5% dedicated, and annually, as Clyde brought up, make a recommendation to the BCC that they budget more
You could do another 1/4% or 1% that way. If you change your mind the next year, or if there's reserves, or the scenario is played out differently, you can either make the recommendation otherwise, so you're not stuck with that dedication, and still leave the 0.5% intact. So that's that's your options that you have at this point to make a recommendation to the BCC.
Further questions?
I think I would feel more comfortable not changing the ordinance, because I do think this is something that we should be addressing through the budget process and, you know, at a bigger context. But I do like the idea of doing it, revisiting on an annual basis.
Mr. Anderson?
I'd like to amend my motion. I think I might have got it squeaked by at 1%, but listening to everybody and everybody's concerned, I'd rather see unanimous approval. I would back it down to additional 1/4%. I think it's going to put us in pretty good shape. And I would also not make it a plan change, but make it an annual change. So we amend this year. Next year, we look at it again with the historic of, well, we did 3/4 last year. It looks like we can do it again this year and stay on that track. And at some point in the future, if it looks like we have too much, we can back it down. If we don't have enough, we ramp it up. But keep it in the plan as a minimum of 1/2% with each year during the budget cycle, deciding what's appropriate at that time, which I think will be continuing the 1/4% more each year. So my amended motion would be to increase for 2023 to 3/4 of 1%, and not make a plan change, make it an annual recommendation.
All right, so the motion has been amended and seconded. So to clarify, it's not an ordinance change, it's not a permanent thing, it's for this year only with an annual support? I don't know what that really means as far as what that,
When you bring back the budget the next year, you could have the same conversation. You can either re-up it and say, yeah, we want to also increase another 1/4% for the fiscal year 2024.
Maybe some kind of reminder that we had this discussion and 3/4% looked like it was right.
so in practicality, we're basically saying we're asking for approximately $3.5 million, $4 million from the current budget be allocated to our beach nourishment fund. Correct? All right, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. Correct. It would be an, correct.
Additional.
1 penny is 7 to 8 million, correct? No, 1 penny is 15 million. The 7.5 would be half, and then half of that would be the addition for this 1 year. Mayor Hibbert, did I get close on the math there? All right. Can't, yeah, we are without our accountant this morning. All right, further discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Thank you, Ms. Levy, for being with us this morning. We appreciate your input. All right. Item number 6, Elite Event Grant Program. Mr. Hayes, kick us off.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I know on the agenda, it has down Craig Campbell to review all of this. Fortunately, Mr. Campbell is at home, keeping us all safe. He notified me late last night that he had a family member that was not feeling well, and he did not feel like he should be here in the midst of all of us. So I completely understand. So we are going to go through the Elite Grant Program, and you would have received several different things from us, but actually there was a big packet that walked through the grant program. And what I wanted to go through and do is keep in mind that in previous years, that you all as the TDC body had reviewed all the different applications that came in and then graded them, scored them, and then we moved forward from there. This year, we actually went through, at the recommendation, is to have staff review everything and bring back recommendations to you as the body. We also went through and made some changes to some of the different areas, including we lowered the attendee and room night thresholds, increased funding for Category 1, creation of Category 5 for a new event to Pinellas County. And we, after that approval, we sent everything out to submit applications. This year, we received 35 applications total. The total request was $1.94 million, of which we have $2 million budgeted, so that was the most ever. And for comparison, last year, we saw 20 applications for just over $1 million. So we actually got 15 more applications this year than we've had in the past, so we had more participation. And then we had a number of new events that were in there as well, that were applying. From a review standpoint, we went through from a staffing perspective and really created 3 areas. One was to go through and look at the data side of of applications and the events. The second is to look at the marketing and sponsorship value, and the third is to look at the other considerations. And in that would be the timing of the lead event, also make sure that there were no conflicts, to go through looking at the applications, that everything was in line. So there's a process that we went through. Under the event data, we actually used data from Destination Analyst, which is our research company, if we had the information from that for that event. And the data we were looking at included room nights, number of visitors, but also new visitors. We also looked at where the event was the primary reason for those that would be traveling here to Pinellas County. We also looked at direct spend. So there was a number of things that we looked at by utilizing that data. Under the marketing and sponsorship value, we looked at the value of the proposed marketing and advertising plan that was submitted, and we utilized our ad agency, BVK, to review all of that. Then we also looked at the sponsorship benefits that were being proposed. So again, a variety of staff. In fact, I want to say from a staff perspective, I think there was probably there was about 8 people involved in this, plus not only our agency, but also Destination Analysts. So really taking all of that to get to our recommendation. So in your packet that you have, so I've gone through, and again, I'm kind of going from Craig's notes here. We also made sure that Michael Zoss reviewed as well to make sure that it was meeting, again, any of the criteria that it needed to from the statute standpoint. So from the recommendations, in your packet, what you received was, again, a review of the process, and then we had each of the scoring sheets and then each of the applicants. And in each of the applications on the profile, you had an overview of the event, their projections in terms of attendings, room nights, and then category. You could link through to their application if you choose to go in to look at everything. Keep in mind that previously, I think Liz was out delivering books that were about 6 inches thick to everybody to review, that now you could just download and look at what those, if there were specific ones that you had questions on. We also, if there was a legal review on that, we provided that. Also performance history, so if there was data from Destination Analysts, we provided that backup as well. We also provided backup related to the media evaluation, which goes back to sponsorship and media. And then looking at there, we have a cost per attendee, the ROI index, which really looking at that is 100 was basically you were breaking even. Anything over that was a plus, anything under that would be a negative from that perspective. Then really scoring, and and then recommended, recommendation as far as going forward in funding them for the cycle. So in the master scoring sheet, really just goes through by event, and really by category, the funding request, the scoring, and then the recommended up to funding amount. And then for purposes of today, we would actually go through and review the recommendations provided by staff. And then if there are questions, we can try to answer as much of that as we can. And then from there, with approval and voting on that, make the recommendation to move these forward to the BCC. So questions on process or how we were doing things?
Steve, I have one, excuse me, one question. The total request of $1,940,000, that includes ones that aren't showing as approved yet also. Is that correct? That's,
It shows everything.
everything's in the 1,000,009.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and and just so you guys know, this last year, at your recommendation, we budgeted at the full 2 million, which we had not done previously. And Michael, and for us, we authorize up to 2 million, correct? All right. So you can see we really amped the number up.
I was reviewing it prior, and I agreed with a lot of the committee's recommendations. In fact, I served on that small group last year. And, I think that, again, contextually, some of these events aren't tourist-based. I mean, they're community-based, and I'm not quite sure how they fit the criteria for, tourism dollars when it's really more of a municipal, a city activity for the community, more so than, a tourism, component to some of these events. And even though it's not a lot of money, you can find $300,000, in some of these events that I don't think are more community-based and might be covered more under the individual municipalities, events budget. Just wanted explanation.
So, yeah, so when we reviewed each of these, we looked at the event itself, and again, looking back at the marketing side of it, where were they going to be reaching? And it still could have been a community event, and especially if they were newer in nature, had not applied before, or it was a new event, is like, what is the potential to grow the event? I mean, ideally going there, realizing that all of these started someplace at one point. Some of them are very obvious when you look at their data, that, it's drawing visitors completely. There's other ones where it's smaller in size, but yet has, potentially better opportunity. So again, that's why we looked at the picture as a whole versus just one specific element of it.
Well, and because I served on the committee last year, I completely understand the very thoughtful consideration that went into. I just felt like that was my observation looking at this, going, that would be something that I would be asked as a commissioner to support more so than Visit St. Pete Clearwater, and that's where I was just trying to understand where the committee made those differentials and staff made those differentials.
Mayor Bujalski.
If you remember, we've spent this last year revising our guidelines, and I was on that committee too. And we all sort of had frustration with it, because it becomes so political, but which is why we wanted the team to do it. But then we added different categories and we adjusted the categories. If you remember, we were just coming out of a pandemic. We were looking at that, but we were also looking at not every category needed to have room nights. And that, if you're attracting somebody from Tampa over to Pinellas County, they're still a tourist. And that some of this, kind of going along to the infrastructure discussion you had earlier, it benefits our businesses, it benefits our locals, right? And it was opening it up, especially to develop the new events, and to build, for me, and which I did, I'll just go ahead and say it now, on the new events, I don't care if they had it last year. I really don't. I mean, you start an event last year in the middle of a pandemic, I don't count that as being not a new event. But again, because sometimes you need a year just to see if it's worthwhile to do anything with. But that's kind of where we came to, so we were adding some of those, allowing for opportunities for some of those kinds of things. Thank you.
Mayor Hibbern.
I think this is the cleanest I've ever seen the process. So I want to applaud you. I mean, there's more metrics being used. I was on the elite event back in the day until I left in 2012. So, you know, some of this is art and some of it's science. But I still think this is the easiest process I've ever seen for the TDC to respond to. So I'm happy with it. Mr. Zaz, I do have one question about the Pelican Women's Championship. I am a member at the Pelican. I don't get anything from that tournament. I don't need to recuse myself from the vote. Just want to make that clear. All right.
I declare I am a member also, and not any committee or anything.
Anybody else a Pelican? All right. Mr. Williams.
No, but I am a member of Innisbrook, and we have the Valspar that, and in years past, you've had me recuse myself.
Great. All right. So in reviewing, actually, I'll just go through the different categories. So in category one, well, let me start at the top here. Out of the applications, we had 2 that were deemed ineligible. There was the Sangria Festival and the Spring Beach Bash, as they did not meet the minimum requirement for room nights or attendance, and they were not new events. And then additionally, we had 3 events that did not receive the minimum score of 70 to be considered for funding. That included the Holiday Putt-Putt, Reggae Rise Up, and the MLK Dream Big Parade. And then the remaining 23 events in category 1, total funding there was $450,000, and that was for Pelican Women's Championship, Valspar, and the P1 Offshore St. Pete Grand Prix. Any questions on those 3? And again, as I was talking with staff, this is new, so I wasn't even sure quite in this process here to say, do you want me to present everything as is and you can go from there, or just do by category? I'll leave it up to the group, but again, we'll get through this year and then we'll refine it even for next year, but you have all the information, so.
Mayor Brzezowski has a question.
And you and I talked last Friday. The biggest thing I want to know is, how do you feel about the ones that are not being recommended? And do you feel like there should, like, what you guys didn't do was take liberties because it was the first time. So I'm asking, as our staff resident expert, what do you want to see happen with, I don't mind all the ones that are approved, and I don't have to go over every single one, but I want to know what you want to do with the ones that, for whatever reason, weren't approved. Do you want to stick with the metrics? Do you feel like, well, the metrics limited us on this particular one, but we didn't want to color outside the line? I mean, really,
Yeah.
that's all I want to know. Me, personally. I don't need to go over every single event.
Yeah,
I already did that. I read it all. I don't need to hear you say it again.
good. Mr. Henderson.
I agree. I think the ones that made the score, there's no reason to question that. But the ones that didn't, maybe we want to find out why they didn't and understand that process a little more.
All right. Based on that, let me go through the 3 that did not meet the scoring. And on that, Let me go through. All right, so going through on the holiday putt-putt on the pier, on that one, on the scoring side of it, the biggest drop was in the marketing and sponsorship, so the ability to go out and market the event. And then under other considerations, scored lower, and I'd have to go back and look at specifically on what it was for those. I think in that one, it seemed to be much more local oriented versus really any out of area marketing. And Michael and Terry, I don't know if you want to elaborate further on the other consideration. Was there anything under that? Okay.
I don't know how to do, is it on?
You're on.
Okay. I was going to say for the holiday putt-putt, the media valuation was low. They came up with a cost per attendee that would be $7.50, so that gave it a 361 to 1 ROI, and which was rather high, which is part of the reason why the media valuation was low. On the MLK, the media valuation and also Reggae Rise Up, both of those events did not provide enough information to determine a media value, which is the reason that score was low. On the other categories, we considered the timing of the events, if they were conflicting with another event, or if they were high season, then they were deducted. Also, the community support and their participation in donations to nonprofits.
I think that is the MLK parade, is that one that has been funded in the past at a lower level?
No, last year they were funded at $75,000, but all of the funding goes toward the hotel nights for the bands.
Okay. So they were funded, they did apply for and got 75 last year,
Yes.
but this year you, per guidelines, would they qualify for anything less? In other words, if they didn't go for category 2, would they have qualified for, I guess, still all the money that they have is going to go toward the housing the kids, so I guess not.
Right, you would have to approve.
I think they would.
They didn't score the requisite 70,
Correct.
so it seems like they wouldn't be eligible for consideration.
mean
of the
at all?
program. At all,
Yeah.
correct.
Oh.
And again, I think the biggest reason there was when you looked at for the dollars, I mean, basically it said the 75 goes toward hotel rooms. So when we go back, looking at it from the marketing perspective, what can we do to tell people about this wonderful event that we have in our community? There was nothing else that was out there. And then the other side of it becomes the sponsorship side, and getting value there up to the $75,000 amount. So they might have less, or they might take less. We'd have to reach back out to the event organizer to ask that question.
Well, they're doing more than just housing kids in hotels. They have other parts of their budget that are marketing and advertising and promoting, and they're probably give you some sponsorship exposure. Just saying that the way they presented it might not be they didn't present all the other things they're doing. They only said, we want $75,000 to house the kids. Is that correct? They didn't- Did they say what the rest of their budget was going toward? And was there marketing and advertising in that? Was there benefit? So if they rearranged it, would they qualify? Would they get them over the 70 points? You understand what I'm asking? If they just presented a budget and said, we need $75,000 to put $75,000 worth of hotel rooms for these kids, then yeah, it doesn't qualify. But if you present the whole budget, this is what we're doing, and the 75 helps us with housing the kids, but we're also doing all those other things we've done in the past. I didn't read the whole proposal, so I don't know. Do you understand what I'm asking? Did they present their whole budget or just?
I don't have that information in front of me.
It just seems to me like they need to go back and review it again and provide the information we're being asked, that was asked for, right? Steve?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was actually trying to see if I can look that up right now.
Commissioner? Microphone, please.
Do it again.
It seems to me that they may have. Okay, there we go. It seems to me that maybe they just didn't fit the right criteria for that category.
Right.
And so if they went to a different category, they would be a better fit, because I think that a 70 is a fairly low bar to set out of, it's a reasonable bar. It's not a low bar, it's a reasonable bar. And they were at 54 under the criteria for the analytics. And I will agree with Mayor Hibbert. This is like the most beautiful presentation report. I think it's so good, and it's so good for us to work with during this discussion. But to me, they just didn't apply for the right category of event.
They projected attendance of 35,000, and that does qualify them as a Category 2. They just did not score high enough.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Have we had a conversation with them to ask them for more information?
I know that Craig did reach out to several of the organizers for additional information as was needed. I can't speak specifically to that, but I would imagine it would be the same.
I've got to believe that if they understood that they were not getting any funds, this event probably wouldn't take place, and they would quickly provide the requested information. If they're funding $75,000 worth of room nights and they're not going to get it this year, does that event even happen? So I think we should go back to them and make sure that they understand the consequence of what they've submitted and what it means to their event. Can we
Mayor
do that?
Hibbert? I'm sorry. Mayor Hibbert?
Yeah, the only thing I would like, Steve, maybe in the future report, even though I said it was the greatest thing I've ever seen, is what different events have had previous years. So we have a comparison, was somebody getting 75 and now they're at 50, or that would be beneficial to see trend.
Mr. Henderson?
To address Mr. Williams' concern, from a historical perspective, we haven't allowed them to go back to amend their submissions, because that would be a perpetual, oh, let me change this one. Okay, well, I didn't get mine, so let me add this to it or do that or whatever. So I think we need to take after thinking about it, we have to take their submission as it stands. But I'm not sure that we can't reduce them down to something they would qualify for. That may be allowable. If we can see that they do qualify for a lower category.
It's the score is a 70 regardless of category,
Right.
correct?
And yes, and the applicants don't select the category. That's not part of the process.
But that category requires a much higher attendance or room nights.
But some of the categories have no requirements at all, so it
That would
depends.
allow them to score higher in a lower category and possibly.
For example, Category 4, there's no hotel room night attendance requirement. No hotel room night requirement, so it's not even part of the scoring. So everybody's scored the same, depending on what they're asking for. So they're not going to score, even if it was a, quote, a lower category, it's not going to change the score.
Okay.
Yes, and they did qualify for $75,000 Category 2 due to their projected attendance of 35,000. Category 2 only requires 15,000 attendance, so they qualified for Cat 2.
Yeah.
We can't amend their submission, they need to present something different next year, maybe they want funding, but I didn't know if we could take it down. That would make a difference, but that's how you know.
Mr. Smith?
Their evaluation does say that it will not happen if they don't get the funding. I do question the 10,000 room nights on that, because if they used all 75,000 for youth coming in, that's nowhere near, that's not even 1,000 room nights. So I'm not sure how that would generate 10,000 room nights. This is somewhat local, I think, the attendance.
So on that one, that's where we go back to the destination analyst study and then look at those that are coming in. It's not the bands or the performers' room nights. It is, I'm here to see the parade. And it's a visitor, and the room nights generated from that. So that would be where the difference is.
Mr. Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Hayes, if this does not receive any elite funding, do they still have an opportunity to reapply for marketing dollars separately?
I think we.
You mean like
that-
the sports does?
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
means
it
like
would-
the sports does.
It would be more like a sponsorship of an event
Right.
versus and again, if someone, like on the sports side, it may be a sponsorship we're doing, but we have a separate fund for that. This one would have to come out of our general fund or our general marketing. And then again, looking at it from a sponsorship standpoint, are we going to get that value? And that's, again, when we had staff review the marketing aspect of this, as well as the sponsorship aspect, are we going to get that value for the money that we're providing to them? So that 75,000, are we getting that in return?
Understood.
And again, I think it's a critical event. I mean, it's gotten, I think it is one of the largest MLK Day parades around. I like the concept of what they're trying to do with the event. The question is the dollar amount associated with it, and then the other element is really the marketing and/or the sponsorship part of it and getting that return. Again, we're trying to do that with each of the different events here and apply it across the board. So again, from a scoring standpoint, it met all the other criteria, it just didn't meet the minimum 70. So the question is, are we where we are with this and that's it? Or is there?
What I think I'm hearing is that we understand the scoring, but we want to find some way to fund it.
Yeah.
So whether it's out of another sponsorship fund or a recommendation to the BOCC for other avenues, but it sounds like everyone's supportive of the event. The other option would be, Mr. Attorney, a waiver of the rules, the criteria to fund, which we have done, which the TDC has recommended and the BCC done in years past for different events over the years.
One other note I would point out is under the guidelines, any operational cost that are used by these events are limited to the value of the sponsorship piece. So in this case, for example, sponsorship, if they're using $75,000 that they receive to pay for hotel rooms, which is an operational cost of their event, the sponsorship has to be valued at $75,000. So keep that in mind for all events.
Mayor Bujalski.
Putting this event aside, I don't want to, the whole reason you all, is we wanted to stop the politics and stop the waving and stop the this and stop the that. How do we solve that? I don't know, but I mean, if we start sitting here and picking, we're going through the same thing we go through every year. And frankly, again, I look to you, Steve. You all have talked about it. You just said, I mean, you waited a long time to say it, but you just said the event was valuable. you need to tell us how to make, then if it's valuable, then how do you do it? I mean, and this, I don't want, again, same with every other one of these events. There's a scoring mechanism, a guideline mechanism for a reason. I don't want to, I don't want to keep waving and waving and waving. I want to know what you and your team believe.
Other staff recommendations are, as you see on the charts that you were handed.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
want to
not,
put,
that's
I don't
not
want to
what,
put Steve in a spot of,
well, no, but.
that's our job, and then it's the job of across the street, to my opinion.
Okay.
Unless he wants to. He always has the ability to voice his opinion. I just don't want to put him on the hot spot if he doesn't want to be there. Further, you can think about that for a second. Can you talk about the two bowls that are in Tampa, where we have events coordinated in Pinellas? And those room nights, are they Pinellas nights or are they Tampa Bay nights, or how does that impact the scoring?
Well, and again, one of the things that we need to just talk about today were just some guideline discussion around a couple of our events. And Michael, I don't know if you would want to take that.
Sure. As to the beach days, the guidelines require that the event that's being funded be held in Pinellas County. So the game is being played in Tampa, but the beach days are being held here. So I think the staff was having some difficulties ascertaining what part of the actual event was generating either the room nights or the attendance to be able to properly evaluate whether they've received funding or not.
All
So
right.
that's a discussion for you guys, I guess, to have at this point.
So we don't know necessarily.
I don't know if it's been clarified, sorry, Commissioner. I
Okay,
don't know if
all
it's
right.
been clarified as from the applicants, if they've received anything further.
I see someone raising their hand.
I'm with the bowl. If you have questions, I'll be happy to
Sure, come on up. If you would introduce yourself and.
Absolutely. Mike Schulze with the ReliaQuest Bowl, recently renamed. We have a new title sponsor. You'll know me, know us as the Outback Bowl previously, of course, and Tampa Bay Bowl in between. Yeah, so obviously the bowl game is the driving force to bring in the tens of thousands of out-of-market visitors to the region. And we do a lot of different things, as if you look through our applications and you've known our history for the last 30-some years working with this organization, that we do a lot of different things to promote Pinellas County. We extensively. One of those things, of course, is the Beach Day event that Visit St. Pete Clearwater has been the presenting sponsor on in recent years. The Clearwater Beach Day gives us a vehicle to really help push visitors that come down for the game. They come down for the week, so to speak, and they're coming over here to stay. We push them to stay over here as much as possible. And by having the Clearwater Beach Day event here, it provides a showcase event during our week of events leading up to the game to highlight the wonderful beaches of Pinellas County. So historically, and again, going back over 30 years now that we've been doing the Beach Day event in conjunction with the bowl game, that has sort of been a key tie with our event in regards to this group and our funding and so forth. I can provide more information if you'd like. I do know that in regards to the destination analysis, which has been done through the Visitors Bureau here for a number of years now, that they survey the fans who are at the Beach Day event. They do not survey fans at the game. Their data this past year, their evaluation was $4.6 million economic impact, $200,000 in taxes generated in Pinellas County. Those surveys were all done just from people who were at the Beach Day event. So some of the visitors that were in here for the game that came to Beach Day. So that perspective, obviously, overall is I think probably actually very conservative, because they're not interviewing people who are at the game who come over and stay here, maybe didn't go to Beach Day for whatever reason, but it is based on just surveys from Beach Day attendees.
Okay,
So
so that
if that helps.
12,000 room nights
That's what, yes, that's based on our tracking of visitors and so forth, and our ticket sales and our tracking of out-of-market visitors and historical tracking of typically on a general basis where visitors stay in the area, whether it be Hillsborough County, Pinellas County, or otherwise. And so the room night numbers that in our projections and in our historical recaps and so forth are Pinellas County room nights, not overall room nights. We bring in typically 35, last year I think it was about 35,000 out-of-market visitors. And when I say out-of-market, I'm talking about outside of Hillsborough, Pasco, and Pinellas, not just out of Pinellas. And we typically sell tickets in over 40 states every year. So that number of overall visitors, that roughly 35,000 per year, obviously are going to be spread around the marketplace, but a good portion of those are in Pinellas County. And then when you combine that with the exposure and the beach day event, drawing people over specifically for that, and then of course all the other exposure and marketing that we do to promote the beaches here. If you would look at any of our collateral material, you'll see the tagline of Football in Paradise. You'll see the beach images and so forth, and just about everything we do. If you pull up our website, you'll see the masthead and so forth. It's very much about drawing people to the wonderful beaches of Pinellas County as a part of their bowl trip. So,
Thank you, sir. I think Mayor Bujalski had a question. Oh, Mr. Kimball?
I'd like to just add to Mike's comments is that there's certainly been a tradition for 30 years with the former name of Outback Bowl. It does produce room nights. And as families take their weekly family vacation, as that starts to wean off for school, going back to school, it brings in another crowd that will come in and spend a few more days. And so it depends on where it falls, but it's a very valuable. Those that, thank goodness, the city of Clearwater and all participates in the beach with the Beach Bash. And that is televised back to northern cities and all. And there's a lot of great publicity there and getting everybody there. And if you go and visit it, it's a packed area and very worthwhile for the promotion that carries through the next few months. Thank you.
and we apologize for the traffic issues that day, by the way. But that's a good problem to have, right, in that regard. I just wanted to, and I'm sorry not to speak out, but I was talking to Craig the other day about this. He mentioned too that there was some question about the televised aspect and the television broadcast part of this in regards to why the funding was recommended the way it was. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I didn't know if Mr. Zoss had anything on that except while I'm up here.
I didn't raise that issue.
Oh, okay. Okay, great.
Mayor Hibberd?
Thank you.
What did we fund this at last year? Was it 150?
No, it was at 75. Is it 75? Yeah.
We were limited to the most recent guidelines numbers because of the changes that were made a few years ago. We used to be funded at 150 for a number of years in that area. And then when they changed the guidelines, they limited the caps on different categories. So we've been limited the last few years to 75.
Because the event is not, the beach day is held in Pinellas, but because the bowl is not?
I think it was just the category that we're limited to, the category we fell into. And by virtue of that, we didn't include the TV advertisements in the game broadcasts and so forth because of that reduction, which this year we did put that in the proposal this year. Since we now, with the changes in the guidelines, qualified for the highest level of funding. So we did include that back into our proposal to go back to the 150 amount that we had in previous years. And that's the difference. That's why I was asking about the TV part.
And if I may, Mayor Hibberd, what happened was when the guidelines got revised, the room nights and attendance went to room nights or attendance.
Right.
So it opened up a lot of more room for categories to ask for more, for events to conceivably ask for more money, be in higher categories.
And the cap on that category was raised too.
And I'm not sure if Steve, if his staff had any questions as far as the televised, the TV, if it's
That's,
been brought
Craig
up.
just mentioned that was maybe one of the reasons why we were recommended for less than what
Is it
we had
televised,
because.
is the game televised?
Oh, yeah, it's nationally televised, it always is. It's one of the most viewed programs on ESPN each year.
Perfect.
We typically average about 4 million viewers, which is much higher than any of the other events here, actually, but they're all great events. They all deserve funding, believe me. But it's one of the top typically every year.
And unfortunately, I stepped out for a second when you started speaking. So I guess I just want to redirect. The question really for you guys to determine is whether or not, how much you're apportioning room nights and/or attendance to Beach Day for funding, not the game itself. And I know they're inextricably linked, and it's kind of a hard thing, but that's why you guys get to make that decision. We just pointed out that the event has to be in Pinellas County, so the event you're funding has to generate the room nights or attendance.
And let me say, from a staff perspective, we're supportive of the event. It's just when we got down into the nitty-gritty of it, you ran into the issue of the room night or the attendance for the event in Pinellas, when really it's the bigger event as a whole, and the same thing happened with the Gasparilla Bowl. So, until we can adjust the guidelines accordingly next year, we just wanted to bring that to your attention.
And one final note, these are up to amounts anyway. They're always subject to negotiation with staff. So just because the category is 150,000, if the deliverables or whatever the staff determines at the end of the day, they're going to get $100,000 worth, staff may recommend to the BCC ultimately. So at this point, you're just making the recommendations for funding, that they be considered for funding and negotiation as well.
Mr. Henderson?
Well, the difference they presented was the $70,000 spot. So if you pull that out of if we give you 75 and you pull the $70,000 in.
Well, the
spot,
TV commercials and the bumper spots would not be included with the 75,000 level, obviously.
Right. And that's what you decided, that's what staff decided on, was to eliminate the $70,000 spot and give them 75,000 instead of 150.
That's correct.
Further questions? Mr. Smith?
I just had, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just two comments. One, I was very familiar with this bowl when I didn't even live in Florida. It's definitely one of the key bowls, usually one of the first bowls on in the morning. That's why I think the attendance is so high on the television. And also, since I've moved here for 16 years, see the jerseys of the participating teams all over the county. So they are definitely over here in Pinellas County throughout that week, really, hanging their banners and flying their flags. So very popular for our county.
Mr. Kimball?
I'm going to ask staff to reevaluate that and see that we do get our full fund, that we do get our full share of marketing out of it, and then review on whether it should be that 75,000 or some other amount. It is a major, just like Mr. Smith just said, it is a major event that I think is in matching with a couple of the other ones that are 150,000. And I thought that was part of our intent when we did ask staff to do this, to take the politics out of it. And also, we moved it up to the 150,000. So I would ask them to look at that on that particular one.
Yeah, we definitely want to see the ad. We definitely want to see the bump spots, because that's a big part of it.
Yes.
Commissioner?
Yes. First off, I think Purdue played in the Outback Bowl back in
Drew
a few
Brees.
years ago.
Yes, they need
and-
another Drew Brees.
And yes, absolutely. And, but anyway, but that, living on the beach for 35 years, I can't tell you how many of the teams, their families, and, all the fanatics for the different schools that, come there, they're hanging out on our beach. I mean, without a doubt that they would not be here if it wasn't for your event. And I think it's a fabulous event, and I really find it interesting, the impact that it does have in Pinellas County, that we wouldn't be looking at it as a full sponsorship position, because I don't know. I mean, you fill the rooms. You support our businesses, and I love the fact that we have that bowl and it's continued on. all these years, because it definitely helps our businesses and and our community. So thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, that's our goal, and that's why we push, again, you know, football in paradise is what we live by. We really push, especially these teams are coming from, you know, Midwest, upper Midwest, Northeast, you know, throughout the Southeast, obviously all the way out to Texas and so forth. But, you know, they come in, you know, we're pitching them on a vacation to Florida to see their favorite team play. And that's how we really market everything in that regard. And of course, you know, if you're going to go to Florida for a vacation, you're going to go to the beaches. And that's really why we really try and push that, and we try and do as much as we can to help the county here with that. So,
Mayor Bujalski.
My question's not for you, but.
Okay.
But thank you. Why aren't we doing the destination analytics over in, at the stadium for the game? To get the room night information is what I'm trying to get at. Or are we getting that from another organization, or do we have that information?
The room night information we have from DA is for surveying done in Pinellas.
I
And
understand.
it's because we have, and for whatever reason, we haven't been at the stadium. We can add that in going forward.
I mean, I think that's the answer. Because, I mean, it's January, right? When the game is?
Typically January 1st. This
Yeah.
year's actually January 2nd because the
Yeah.
first falls on NFL Sunday.
So I gotta think that people coming here in January are gonna be staying in Pinellas County. Just saying. So, I mean, to me, that's like the answer. We need to understand or however we can get that, and I don't know what that costs and how much that ups the cost to us, but we should understand, right? Don't you agree, Steve? We should understand the room nights that we're getting from that piece as well. And then to me, that should be all part of this, all part of a review of what our participation is.
Well, and the other aspect I would do is go back to DA and ask the question, is there a way to gather that without surveying at the stadium? If the fans are all here, if the fans are here in Pinellas County, then we should be picking them up, whether it's at the beach, other public places, and said that they were here for the Outback Bowl, or I'm sorry, ReliaQuest Bowl. There you
Right.
go, Mike.
It takes some practice.
Yeah, but why not ask the people that are actually at the Outback Bowl? I mean, why not?
Well, and yeah, I mean, I can work with Mike and his team. I just also know that I'm pretty sure the folks on the other side of the bay are out there surveying, maybe, or at least in the
And
old
maybe
days
they'll
they did.
share. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think that
Yeah, they
that's
might.
important information to know because it is it is why we do the beach day, because we feel like we're going to get people over. So if we're going to get people, and yes, we do have to evaluate if beach day is, you know, as good as we think it is or not. But I also think we need to talk to the people, people over there that, for whatever reason, they're not coming to beach day. They may be over here at the beach, but they're not going to beach day.
They did survey our game a couple years ago during the pandemic year. However, since there was not beach day that year, I think they shifted that over, but then, I think that might have been right before you came in, Steve, but of course, we were also limited to a 10,000 person capacity for that game. So obviously, those numbers aren't
Yeah.
comparable, but they did do it, so, in lieu of the beach day, since that beach day did not occur that year, just
Mr. Williams.
for historical.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, Mike, can you remind me, refresh my memory, the football conferences that we typically pull from?
Yeah, so we, historically, for over 20 years, we've been Big Ten SEC, which we still are. Under our current contract that's in place, has been for 2 years, and we have 4 more years on it. We are still Big Ten SEC. However, there's a nuance in it now that In years that the Orange Bowl does not host a semifinal playoff game, which would be, for instance, this year, they don't host a semifinal because they hosted last year. If a Big Ten team goes to the Orange Bowl through all their platitudes of how that's determined, then we will instead this year choose a ACC team, one of the top ACC teams, of which Notre Dame is one of those. In regards to bowl selections, Notre Dame's considered an ACC team, so it could be Notre Dame, Clemson, what have you. So for this year, that is a possibility, but it's all hinging on whether the Big Ten goes to the Orange Bowl or not. And the SEC is guaranteed regardless. So basically, same agreements we've had, but actually an opportunity for maybe some new inventory once in a while. And if we could get a shot of a Notre Dame or somebody, obviously that would be tremendous. But and that's again, those contracts are all in place still for the next 4 years, as is our network contract and our new title sponsor.
If you would consult with our marketing target destinations before you select the teams, that would be helpful.
We do. No, actually, if you look at our application and it pinpoints it, it actually dovetails very well with your all's marketing in regards to potential footprints of teams we choose from. Obviously, Pennsylvania, we had Penn State this last year. Now we had Arkansas, which is probably not typically one of your hot spots. But I'll tell you what, this is the first bowl game they had been to in Florida for 15 years, never been to our game before, and they brought the entire state, whatever that was, so it was pretty good. But you look at the different markets, whether it's Minnesota, Minneapolis, Chicago, Columbus, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Atlanta. I mean, those do line up pretty well with the reports that I've seen from the visitors bureaus here in regards to your marketing analysis and your goals and so forth. Obviously, the timing of it as well, as was mentioned as well, is really big too. In fact, we've seen a lot of times where you'll see a lot of these same fans that come down for our game return back for spring break and those types of things because of the experience they've had. We've even had stories where fans their team was in Orlando playing the same day as our game, and their fans were actually over here at Beach Day because we're like, why are you here? And they're like, well, we loved it so much last time we were here, we decided to stay here and then drive over there for the game. So
I think Mr. Henderson has a question, then we can start wrapping this up.
yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
Again, it comes back to the $70,000 ad spot. If you give them $150,000, we get a $70,000 spot. If you give them 75, we're going to take that out and let BDK or somebody else make that decision on whether we should advertise during the game or not. So essentially, we're giving you what you're asking for. We're just not committing to buying the $70,000 spot.
The
So,
spot, well, the
I think
spots
it's fine
and
as it stands.
and some of the additional bumpers and stuff, but yes.
I think it's fine as it stands, and, staff thought this, they presented it and said, we're gonna adjust it, take the $70,000 spot out, give them $75,000 to cover the other things they're asking for, and we'll make a decision whether we want to advertise during the game when it's a little bit closer to the game. Right, Steve, is that what your thought process was?
Yes, and if Michael makes sure that FSU's in there, then sure, I've got an ad spot going.
My daughter goes there, so.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
it's
Schultz.
picked
We
up?
appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you very much, and sorry to take so much of your time, but I
No,
just
it's-
wanted to clarify that because I was told that some of that was an issue, so thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, further questions, discussion as a whole. We have the recommendations from staff with the council's input and thoughts on the MLK event. Further questions, discussion, or a motion to recommend to the BCC?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to recommend that we make a motion to send this to the BCC with our support.
We have a motion and a second. Is there further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show it passes unanimously. I think it was good discussion, and we continue to fine tune how we do this, but having the applications and the summaries with the packet, I think was incredibly helpful to go through and seeing all the background information. So I think that was all good stuff.
But Michael, is there anything else we need to cover on this?
Did you want to have a discussion as to some of the categories that there were questions on as far as the broadcast status?
Yeah, and what.
That was kind of a big deal this year.
Yeah, and one of the things is there were a couple of entities that had applied under the higher amount because of a national broadcast, and we went with the lower amount because the reality is what they were doing, it was more of a PR opportunity versus I'm going to be on TV for 2 hours. And so that's a clarification that we'll need to make next year when we kind of go through and change the guidelines. Again, I appreciated this body's coming through and saying, hey, add a streaming service to it. Well, that's great if it's a 2-second spot and that's it. That's not national broadcast versus going through having a 2-hour broadcast. So again, there were 3 that were under that category. And again, brought them down to the category 2 amount versus the 150 that they were at because of that particular item. So anything else? Michael?
No.
Okay.
All right. Comments? Mr. Kimball?
We gave Michael time, and there's another person in the I don't know what it is, in the audience that would like to have time on talking about one too, I think. Is that what this is going on? Mr. Overton, in due respect to his tourism?
I didn't even see Mike.
Yeah, there's opportunity for public comment. No one signed up for that. We brought Mr. Scholes up for questions. Do you have a question on his event?
What's his question, please?
Come up.
Did you have a comment, Mr. Overton?
Yes, please. Thank you.
I didn't know if I'd get an opportunity to speak today, but I did want to try to address the issue of national broadcasting. For those of you who know me, I'm Keith Overton. I used to be the president at Tradewinds Resorts for 26 years, and I now own a restaurant called OCC Roadhouse, which my licensing partner in that is a gentleman named Paul Tuttle. Paul is the founder of Orange County Choppers, and he was most notably known for being on the hit TV series on the Discovery Channel, American Chopper. There is a new paid application platform out there that's going to launch on July 4th named Americonic. It's much like Netflix, it's much like Amazon. This is not a PR thing, this is a subscription-based platform. It will launch on July 4th with well over 1 million members on day one, and it'll grow immensely from there. Paul has a new show that's going to be Life Behind the Handlebars. It's a spinoff of American Chopper that will be featured on this paid application called Americonic. And we will have an episode each year dedicated to that. So it'll be a full-on feature television production that will be featured on. The entire event will be filmed. All the activities that go on throughout Pinellas County will be filmed and featured, and we'll do that annually as long as the show airs. And it will air by the end of the year, so we'll have plenty of opportunity to get this in the can and have it on TV. And unlike a race or an event, it will live there, so you can see it over and over again. It's more of a lifestyle programming than it is a sports programming, and I think it'll get many more viewers than that. The expectation that is it will get many, many millions of viewers. If you look at American Choppers and Paul Tuttle's background, he has over 1.4 million social followers. Not only does he have a huge national audience, but he has a very large international audience, which I think would be very helpful. So I just wanted to be clear, it's not out yet. It comes out in 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. I know that nobody's probably familiar with it, so I wanted an opportunity to express to you that's where our national production time will come from. The value is tremendously big, and I think more so maybe than just a one-time broadcast where it's one and done. This will live there, and this content will be there forever. So I appreciate you letting me say a few words about that, and would love additional consideration based on that.
Questions? Well, we've got him on the mic. Under oath.
First
Commissioner.
off, I want to say, Keith, you always are so innovative, and you're sharing with us some good stuff that, so thank you for explaining what you're doing and
We've had
and
success
helping
with,
us
you
understand.
guys remember the TV show Tanked, where we were able to achieve that through our restaurant, Rumfish Grill. We've done American Chopper Series before, so, I mean, we're familiar with how to do this, and I think the county will get great placement as a result.
Mr. Kimball.
I'd like to ask that the staff looks at the marketing side. It's something new, and I'm not sure, understand it completely. I hit the remote only is what I can do. But as we talked about Outback, maybe we can look at this one also on the marketing side and leave it up to staff to look at.
Further comments or questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate your time. Mr. Hayes, anything else we need to do with this? There was, the staff recommendation was adopted for recommendation to the BCC, but then we've had some other comments after. So I don't know if you need other guidance or approval to move forward with anything, or? I think we're good. Okay. All right. 11:20, we're rolling. Department updates, did you want to do that, or you want to go straight to your report? I don't know what our timing is today. All right. Very good. We're going to skip item 7. All of that is available online. Item 8, Mr. Hayes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oh, good, they put up the PowerPoint, and I'll have them advance the slides for me. First thing I'll hit would be the tourist development tax collections. This is from April of this year. In 2022, we collected 10.8 million, which was 23.9% ahead of 2021, which was $8.7 million. Fiscal year 22 to date, we're at 58.4 million compared to fiscal year 21 at 38.6 million. The bottom half of the slide, the orange represents 2022, blue is 2021. You can see where we're ahead in those areas. Next slide, please. So here's where we get into, so why are things up? And when you go through and look at it, the first thing on there is going to be the occupancy. If you look at the difference between 22 and 21 for April, we were down from 78% down to 81, but look at the rate difference, 251 versus 119. Then if you look at the bottom portion there, under hotels, beach occupancy, again, down compared to April of last year, and inland occupancy is down as well, but the beach ADR is significantly higher than 2021, and same with inland. So again, taking into consideration both of those items, if I get next slide, please. So this goes through and looks at, again, the occupancy. I did add May in here. I know right now we've been saying April, but I did add May in because I did get the information the other day. And right now, for the month of May, occupancy as a whole was at 74.6% compared to 76%. So again, down. And you can see where the last 2 months we have been down in occupancy, and I'll address that here in a second. Next slide, please. Going to ADR, again, orange being 2022, you can see that, again, significantly ahead of anything from last year. Even in the month of May, we are still up $211 versus $179 in 2021. Next slide. And this one will be a little bit different, Doreen. Hopefully you could appreciate this one on this one's destination metrics for vacation rentals. So looked at here is for April, looked at average daily rate compared to last year, so it was up 21%. Adjusted paid and owner occupancy we were flat with last year. Adjusted RevPAR, we were up 22%. And then the average total stay value was up 27%. So this is for the month of April, which would have been the pretty much spring break or spring travel. And before we go through and get into May. So in all, going back to TDT collections, the big reason there is occupancy being flat to down, but rate being significantly up, drawing the higher revenues on the tourist development side. And that goes both for hotel as well as vacation rentals. If you go to the,
While you're at that point, then not for today's discussion, obviously, because we're running short on time, but still asking for you to get back with me on where they're collecting the data, how you're obtaining vacation rental management companies, and how that all is assimilated into giving us these numbers
okay.
for Pinellas County. Thank you.
I will set up, I'll have Key Data make a presentation to the TDC to walk through that. All right, next slide, please. All right, this one, just a visitor profile. So again, coming from Destination Analytics and their results from April of 2022. And really, you're seeing some, I think one of the key things to look at, which was a change that I saw when I was changing out the numbers, average time on decision to arrival day. For the first time, we were actually longer than 2021, that same. So that was a change. And if I had looked at the previous month in March, those numbers were like swapped out. Also, what we saw as the percent that stayed overnight was larger than what we saw in March. Again, it was also larger than what we saw in 2021. Also saw in April the average age come down a little bit. We were in the low 50s in March. In April, we saw that drop down below 50, and the average household income continues to remain above the previous year, and it was also higher than what we had in the month of March as well. So again, from an industry standpoint, and Mr. Kimball, I forget the word you used, a readjustment, I think is what you called it, in terms of what's happening within the industry. And I'll kind of address that going forward, and any of our other businesses that are here could probably provide additional insight. You know, we were extremely fortunate last year. And what's interesting is when I look back at last year and go from March until, let's just say, through September, maybe even into October, this area did it phenomenally well. And in terms of both not only occupancy, but also in average daily rate. And, you know, and a part of that was attributed to the fact that other parts were not open. If you go back and look at, when I say other parts, other vacation opportunities, cruising wasn't open, your international destinations weren't open. There were a lot of other places people weren't going to. And a perfect example of that is even Orlando. I went back and checked in the month of May and looked at what was happening in competing destinations in the state. And the ones that had big gains in occupancy last year had major declines in occupancy. And so those of us that had led the way in the state last year are the ones that everyone's kind of catching up, going through and catching up with us. So that includes folks, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, us, again, we were kind of leading the state in those specific areas. So again, in talking to some of our hotel partners, and again, I'd be interested in your thoughts on that, is what's going forward. And I think, as Mr. Kimball said, a readjustment. So we are seeing the lower occupancies, which then at this point, we'll start to see some properties go through to lower rate. For us, what we're doing, in fact, we just released 2 different campaigns, and I know Eddie's here in the back, but one is through Travelzoo and one is through Expedia. Again, looking at, they'll have deal opportunities there that's currently out there in the digital world, I know that Miles as well as BVK are also looking at what's happening out there so that we could readjust our marketing as such whether we go more in-state, because the other element to all this is the economy, especially the part of inflation hitting the pocketbook of the American traveler. And then the other element of that is the high gas prices as well. Although good news is, I guess it was down 8 cents a gallon for a week. Yeah. But again, it's still in the minds of the consumer out there. I sat in on a call late last week, and really for the travel forecast. And again, when they look at it across the U.S., they keep talking about the other markets. Oh, travel's rebounding, and it's like, okay, well, we've already been through that. As the state of Florida. The other element is, and we were at International IPW, which is the U.S. International Travel Show, and it was over in Orlando. First time it's been held back, and it's with no sanctions. I mean, people showing up. The only markets that really didn't show up was, I would say, is probably Asia, Southeast Asia, but all the others were there. The big thing that we heard is there is a desire to come to the United States. The big thing that was holding folks back was the fact that they were going to have to take a test to get in. And the day after IPW gets done, they make the announcement that you don't need a test anymore. So, and now I did read, our UK office sent us something today that went through and said, the Brits are extremely bullish on the Florida market, the U.S. market. Their concern, though, is rate. And we have heard that from some of the travel buyers, is the rate that you have for coming over here, either through the airline or through the hotels, rental cars, all these other things are certainly coming into play. So again, it's a readjustment, for us. But again, we're going to do everything we can to make sure that we're keeping the awareness out there, and then hopefully from there the visitation goes up. Question on the destination metrics. All right. One item I was asked to bring up, and it planned to do so, has to do with Visit St. Pete Clearwater staffing. And over the last several months, we've had a number of positions leave where folks were taking a job opportunity in another market or another industry. Some of it is, in the case of like Leroy, he went to a technology firm, which seems to be the thing to do. And not only do you get to stay in the industry, but you also go through and get a nice pay bump from there. We had another gentleman who actually went back to the tech industry. And, again, going back to his former team, but also, again, going into the corporate world. So we have a number of different openings there. In fact, right now, we have 12 openings. And where we're currently at is we have 4 in process, meaning at some point we're in the process of trying to get those positions filled. We have another 2 where we're going through to get those advertised. And then we've got 3 that were, and then we also have 3 that were previously open prior to even coming on board, that had been set up. In some of the cases, we're going through and we will be finding staff to fill those positions. And again, depending on what type of position it is. Other ones, and this goes back to some of the comments that we heard from strategic plan, is I want to make sure I'm building the team that's going to be able to accomplish what we've laid out within the strategic plan. So I didn't want to go through and hire folks and then turn around and say, wait a minute, we should have had someone with this skill set to go through and do those things. Well, since we are getting to the point where having a final a draft of the written report from them, you had a presentation, but this is really getting into more of the detail, which also includes how do we go through to make all this happen. Then from there, we'll be able to make decisions on structure that will go through and allow us as an organization to best accomplish those strategies and have the right staff on board. So in the meantime, in each of the areas, we've got staff that's working diligently, but also our marketing partners, whether it be BVK, Miles, Destination Analyst, also working to go through and help us in each of the different areas to get things, to go through and get things accomplished. For the group here, and again, I'd be happy to answer any questions on this, but for the group here, we want to make sure that we still are getting the word out to drive business. And that's what we need to be doing, but also make sure that, we're also being responsive back to a number of other things that we need to be doing, especially as we start the whole strategic, the strategic plan implementation. So I don't know if there's other questions on that, but I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update, and for those that are watching, listening online as well.
Ms. Moore?
Yes, to comment on that, appreciate the update. But looking forward, I mean, are we waiting for that plan, the strategic plan? I know you're positioning yourself with these various things, but, and operations, you've got everybody, all the moving parts, everyone's doing their job, but are we missing opportunities for, the job market is so, robust right now in competition. If we're waiting for the strategic plan to fall into place, does that limit our functionality? Does it limit the staff that we have on how much they can accomplish because we have shortages? And you mentioned these are comments as opposed to questions. You mentioned the 3 previous openings. It seems to me that knowing how long that they've been strategically open, is it something where we think that we don't need those positions? But they've been empty for a long time, and it seems like they need to be filled. Just observation.
Yeah, and thank you for that. In regards to the open positions, I don't know why they weren't filled previously. That's when I came on board. And so from my standpoint is to look at, as an organization, building it in the way to get the things accomplished, looking at the future. That's what I want to go through and do. As far as the, I think finding the folks to do this, to get on board, I think we will, I think we'll have a lot of interest, especially with some of the positions. The question will be is, coming to work for Pinellas County versus where they may be in whatever industry that is, whether that's hospitality, the corporate world, whatever. But I know I've talked to some folks that would love that opportunity to work with us. As far as opportunities, I know staff is working very diligently at any of the opportunities that come up, and make sure that, hey, we can accomplish that, or we're going to need help getting that accomplished. And in some cases, that's where our marketing partners have been very helpful in making those things happen.
Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mine's more of a comment, I guess, is just, I'm concerned being 12 down of the existing staff that's still on board and working so hard. Are they going to be overburdened, and is it going to get worse if we can't fill some of these positions? Same thing I'm dealing with my own business is, wearing multiple hats. That is fine when for a little while, but it gets old after a while, especially since I understand being the government, they can't be compensated differently during that, but something needs to be done to make sure we don't dig a bigger hole.
And thank you, Mr. Smith. On that, I mean, there's a number of positions that were already in the process. So it's just a matter of finishing it out and then getting them on board. So those numbers that open number starts dwindling. So. I think that's it.
That it? All right. Well, yeah, interesting times with the numbers shifting as they are. Before he came on the TDC, Mr. Smith educated me about the sand cruisers and what that meant. And now that that's changing, but our international is opening up, and how it all shakes out will be interesting to see as we come through. Thank you for a very good day. Is there anything else for the good of the order? All right. Ms. Moore.
can't get out that easily. This is kind of deja vu. The arts and culture aspect of what we do came up, I think, when we were reviewing destination packages at about the same time, 20 minutes before the end of the meeting. So what I'd like to do in a very abbreviated form is ask a question. I'm sorry that Mayor Welsh is not here to contribute to the discussion about the potential for an allocation for dedicated funding to the arts and culture aspect. But I do have a question, and maybe this is budget, Michael, not sure. At what point would the discussion need to be had to get into this year's budget consideration for the BOC? Is there discussion at the July meeting? Would that be effective? Is August too late? Because we don't have time to do that today.
Steve and myself presented the CVB's budget to the BCC last week. We are probably about 3 weeks away from printing the proposed budget book. But any changes to, or potential requested changes would have to be run through the process. They could be brought to the board. Ultimately, the board adopts the budget and decide what goes in it. So, if there's a recommendation from the TDC, it can be, I guess, moved through the process. It all depends on what the department needs are as well.
So comparing this, for example, to the beach nourishment discussion that we had earlier, that recommendation moves forward to the BOC now for this coming budget, or are we talking further future out, if that's a comparison?
Some of these things would be able to be, I don't know about the agenda process, but there is always budget amendments throughout the year, and especially for areas where we haven't expended the money completely. It's a little bit different than our utilities budget, where it's pretty,
Okay.
lockstep.
So let me just take a moment, if I might, and just broach the conversation with the team that's here, is that following up about the need for looking at this to be a budgeted item for designated funds identified for arts in the future. I know that we do have a cultural plan that we're hoping and looking at. We are assuming that that's going to be approved. If we don't have these conversations now and we wait for the cultural plan, we're really looking at 2025, 2026 in terms of building those potential dedicated funds. So I just wanted to have that conversation. I know whatever we decide, if that funding were to come out of, and what we're asking for, in my opinion, as it was proposed as a dedicated funding source out of TDT, that it isn't a new tax. It's out of existing funds and allocations. I've just made some notes on this going forward for everybody's consideration, that if we don't put this into action, then we're back to square one with not having enough robust funds for arts and culture as we move forward into the future. So this is an integral part of, arts are, as we've seen, growing as an integral part of tourism, and this is really a county-wide need for all aspects of, arts alliances, artists, locations, and this is why it's extremely important that we take a look at this. So I was attempting to make a recommendation that this be put to the BOC. I don't know that we have enough time or information for the TDC to make that recommendation, but that's my ask. And if not, then could it be something that could be in July discussion?
As a budgeting process, unless Steve and his team knows what they're going to spend the money on, budgeting the money doesn't do what I think you want to do. because if it's not spent, then it just becomes part of the pool of money that is available to fund FY '24. And that's, we wouldn't be transferring it out to anybody or any special fund that would separate it. It would just, we could, you could designate, you could appropriate money in a budget year, but if you don't spend it, because they don't have a plan to spend it, it doesn't do anything. So it's, it would be a placeholder, and, if there was something that the board or Steve decided that they wanted to spend it on arts related, it would be there to do that, but without a plan to spend it, they're not going to spend it.
But like with all budgeting, by having a plan to forecast that there is a need, and then you come back and you can flesh it out with, as we grow through the cultural plan and understand what we're doing. It's kind of like, not necessarily the cart before the horse, but.
Well, they would want to identify what the needs are before we throw money at it. As Commissioner said, that there is a process. If something comes up, budgets are amended every year for things that pop up that the board decides is a worthwhile cause to fund that is outside of the current budget. So just putting money out there without a plan is, in my opinion, not the way to go, because we don't know what, is 500,000, additional 500,000 enough, or is it 5 million? So you could throw an amount out there, but without knowing what the actual needs are, it's just, it's not doing what I think you want to do, which you want to designate money, but the money that isn't spent in a particular fiscal year just becomes part of the available funds the following year.
Doreen, if I can ask a question or comment. If I understand from the budget process when we went through it, we used to do almost 500 million for the arts. There was, my numbers aren't going to be exact, and then it got greatly reduced during.
500,000.
Sorry, 1,000. Then it got greatly reduced during the recession. But now we're back where we are. I wonder if we could look at where it used to be spent
It
and
was.
see.
It was closer, I think, 3 million.
It was 3.5 million, and then it increased to, I believe, closer to 7 million. I'm looking at.
But we're talking back to the
But
recession, and then it was
then it
reduced.
went away.
And then I think this year's budget has somewhere around $900,000 combined,
Yeah, I think it's just over $1 million.
As far
between
as-
4 different
not including
sources.
the TDT capital projects. And Mayor Hibbert had I didn't want to cut you off. All right. So it has, ebbed and flowed, and we haven't counted, when they've had that conversation about arts funding, we've never counted the TDT part of those things. It's kind of a separate item. And I know there is some different plans floating around in the community as far as what a plan. The administrator did recommend in his budget recommendations to fund the cultural plan that was in the decision package last week. And I wish the mayor had been here. Mayor Bujalski, did you have something?
I was just going to say, I hear what you're saying about timing, but I think you have to have a plan and approve, something that y'all have seen, right? And, but I would also say that we could talk about the concept. If you think August, I'm going to say you think, because you weren't sure, Steve, they were going to come back and talk about the whole capital thing. And we could have a general dialogue about the arts thing as well. Here's the thing, it's kind of like what we were saying about the sand. You want to talk about everything, you want to look at the whole picture versus piecemealing it out. And I think that's important. I'm not saying we shouldn't fund arts, but I think I certainly couldn't make any kind of decision today, and I would want to understand what the needs are. But I'm generally supportive, and the needs, I need to know from you, the state allows you to do that.
That's the unknown at this point. We don't know exactly what's being asked for what.
Right.
And we'll have to look at the statute to see if it can be
I
spent
mean, our
that way.
plan can always be changed. I'm just talking about what the state allows.
All right. And there are, again, I've seen some preliminary plans out there, and I don't know if Mayor Welch was planning on making a more formal ask today, if he had been here, but, and I think a third of a penny was the idea, at least one of the ideas I heard, so. But I don't think we're going to have that decision today in the next 10 minutes, and I'd rather have a little bit more of a full board here when we make that kind of, so, do you want to put that on our July agenda at least for discussion? So we can have a little bit more fleshed out thought process on it? Yes, ma'am. All right, anything else for the good of the order? Thanks for those of you who made it to the end. We are adjourned.